Joining me to discuss the still ongoing Palestinian incitement and violence in Jerusalem, journalist and senior research fellow with the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, Yoni Ben Menachem. Yoni, it's great to have you with us. Now, why is the Temple Mount so volatile? Why can't the space be shared at all?
Because the Palestinians claim that Israel is trying to take over the Temple Mount and the Al-Aqsa Mosque and divide the Temple Mount for prayers for Muslims and Jews, like he did in Ma'arat HaMachpelah in Hebron. And the holiday of Pesach is every year, it's the same problem, and we have a week of Chol HaMoed where Jews are going to pray or to visit the Temple Mount, Har HaBayit, and it always a reason for clashes between the rioters and the prayers and the rioters and the police. It's a yearly ritual.
I mean, you know, is it not acknowledged at all that there is Jewish significance at Har HaBayit, at the Temple Mount? And also, you know, the common argument, as you said, is that Israel is Judaizing the Temple Mount and taking it over and planning to destroy the mosque even. But such claims have been made consistently for decades. The mosque is still standing under Jordanian Muslim Waqf Authority. So how are these accusations still so fervently believed?
They are believed because it started with the Mufti Haj Amin al-Husseini, and then Yasser Arafat, who was the head of the PLO. He claimed that there were never any shrines, any temples, Jewish temples on the Temple Mount, and it's all a big lie of the Israelis, and they don't want to acknowledge any connection to the Jews to this holy place.
All right, well, aside from terror groups and the Palestinian Authority itself, we heard calls for violence from the loudspeaker at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. At what point does such incitement cross over into criminal action, and what can or should Israel be doing about it?
Well, as you know, the incitement, it's not only on the mosques and in the loudspeakers. The most effective incitement, unfortunately, is on the social media. And we know that there's a very strong connection between the incitement on the social media and between the terror acts that were carried out by different Palestinians, because they are incited with these lies. Today, everyone can see this incitement in his mobile phone, and they are incited and motivated to carry out terror attacks against Israelis. So this is a very dangerous situation.
Egypt reportedly brokered a calming of tensions between Israel and Hamas, Hamas threatening to fire rockets like they did last year if Israel didn't release prisoners arrested over the weekend and stop the so-called invasion of the Temple Mount. Do you think that Hamas was posturing at all, or are they really prepared for another such escalation?
I think they are prepared for escalation. They are trying to present themselves as moderate and responsible organization that does not want to be dragged into a violent conflict with Israel. But this is a lie, because they are behind this incitement against Israel, which is continuing for the last year since the last war in Gaza. They are the ones who are inciting and pushing for a third intifada in East Jerusalem and in the West Bank. And I think they are prepared to go to another round of escalation with Israel. But they want to show the world that they did all they can to prevent such an escalation, and that they were dragged by Israel aggression into this round of fighting.
So again, regardless of the tensions, should Israel, in your opinion, have acquiesced to Hamas's demands to release detainees, and other demands? Doesn't it just embolden Hamas by giving them a sort of victory to tout?
This is not one condition only that you said about the releasing of prisoners. Right. There are 4 conditions. They want the Israelis to stop the military operations in the north of Samaria, in Jenin area, in other villages, to catch the terrorists that are planning attacks in Israel. They want Israel to stay away from the Temple Mount, and allow all the Palestinians to go into work into Israel. They have a list of demands, but once you yield into these demands, you will never finish. I don't think that Israel agreed to release all the
No,
people
about
that were
130
arrested.
remained in detention, yeah, with prior
Yes,
arrests.
but you have to understand that maybe around 400 or 500, between 400 and 500 youngsters were arrested in the Temple Mount. I think the police made a mistake. They should have forbidden youngsters, Palestinian youngsters, to go into the Temple Mount area during a Pesach. This would have been prevented all these riots by the young Palestinians. The Israeli police can still do it. We have a few days until the end of Pesach, and they should not allow young Palestinians to go into the Temple Mount because they are the cause for the riots.
Yoni Ben Menachem, thank you so much.
Thank you.
ILTV Plus, your news from Israel and more 24/7. Start your free trial today. Subscribe at ILTV.tv and watch from any device.